What's your I should have said no but didn't story that still haunts you? My brother died 6 months before starting his surgical residency, and my parents decided I would live his life for him, not metaphorically honor his memory or carry on his spirit, but literally step into every plan he'd made and complete them as if he never died. They transferred his residency spot to my name through connections at the hospital board, and when I protested that I was a year into my teaching certification, my mother collapsed, sobbing that she couldn't lose both children, and my father said the medical school had already processed the paperwork. The takeover started small with clearing out his apartment, but then my mother began forwarding his mail and scheduling his appointments in my calendar. She'd call pretending to be me to confirm medical conferences, and she signed my name on volunteer shifts at the children's hospital, where dying kids expected their favorite resident. My father installed a tracking app on my phone to ensure I was following the schedule he'd printed, which included 5 a.m. gym sessions and meal prep Sundays, because that's what my brother did. They moved his entire wardrobe into my apartment while I was at work and donated all my clothes to charity. I kept accidentally making things worse by mentioning my actual life. I'm judging the science fair next month, I'd say at dinner, and suddenly my parents were calling my principal saying I'd had a family emergency. Every normal thing I said became evidence that I was dishonoring his memory, so I learned to speak only about hospital rotations I was faking and surgical techniques I'd Googled. The first day at the hospital, I stood frozen during rounds while the attending asked me to examine a patient's abdomen. My hands shook as I pressed randomly, hoping high school biology would save me. But the attending's face grew dark, and he pulled me aside, asking if I was drunk, because no medical student would check for liver enlargement on the wrong side of the body. I mumbled about grief affecting my performance, and he softened, saying my brother would be proud while never knowing my brother was the only one who'd actually attended medical school. My girlfriend Meredith watched me transform into someone she didn't recognize as I canceled plans for fake emergency surgeries and spoke in medical terminology I'd memorized from flashcards. She found me at 3 a.m. in his scrubs, sobbing over anatomy textbooks, trying to learn 4 years of medical school before morning rounds. Then my mother invited Eleanor, my brother's fiancée, to dinner at my apartment using my phone while I slept. I woke up to find her in my kitchen, cooking my brother's favorite meal, wearing the engagement ring he'd bought, because my mother told her I wanted to continue where he'd left off. Eleanor was crying happy tears, saying she knew my brother sent me to complete their love story, and she'd already told her parents we were getting married on the date they'd originally planned. Eleanor, you need to leave right now. This is completely insane, I said, and my mother's face went white with rage. She's your brother's soulmate, and you're going to throw that away for some elementary school teacher who makes half what a surgeon's wife deserves. I teach middle school science, and Meredith is a software engineer, but that doesn't matter because I'm not my brother, and I'm never going to be him, no matter how many times you make me wear his clothes or sleep in his bed or pretend to understand why the human pancreas does whatever it does. Eleanor dropped the ring and ran out sobbing while my mother picked it up and tried to force it into my hand, saying the wedding was already paid for and the deposits were non-refundable. My father arrived an hour later with a contract requiring me to complete the 5-year surgical residency, or they'd sue me for fraud, since they'd been telling everyone I graduated medical school with honors. They had recordings of me introducing myself as a resident and signatures on patient charts that could destroy my entire future if anyone found out I wasn't qualified. That night, I walked into an emergency surgery because the attending assumed I could handle placing retractors, and watched in horror as blood pooled everywhere because I didn't know how to hold them properly. The patient survived, but the attending reported me to the medical board, and within hours, they discovered I'd never graduated medical school, or taken the MCAT, or even completed undergraduate pre-med requirements. The fraud charges were filed the next morning, and my parents told everyone I'd had a psychotic break from grief, rather than admit they'd orchestrated the whole thing. You killed both of our sons with your selfishness, my father said, when I told them I was done being my brother's ghost. No, you killed me the day you decided I only mattered as his replacement, I said, and walked out while they shouted that I was destroying my brother's legacy. I lost my teaching license because of the fraud conviction, and Meredith left when she found out about it.